Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for this video, I wanted to talk about unraveling and my unraveling journal and share with you how I set myself up for the new year. So first thing that I do to sort of, I guess, plan out my life in a way before the start of the new year is that I go through Susanna Conway's Unravel Your Year workbook. So if you've been following me long enough, you would have heard over and over again about Susanna Conway. She is a British author, she's a photographer, she's a blogger. She creates e-courses that are about mindfulness and about photography and sort of about the intuitive nature of yourself. And all of her courses have to do with that process of learning about yourself and, what she calls unraveling the many layers of yourself to kind of get to know you better and to grow into a better person or the person that you want to become. And so she does that through journaling, she does that through photography, and a lot of her offerings, whether it's a paid class or her free newsletters or the free workbooks that she gives every year, they all help you to do that. And so her Unravel Your Year workbook, it is free. I will definitely try to leave the link down below in the description box so you can go and grab it so that you can fill it out before the new year. And I will also leave a link down below to her Find Your Word. It's kind of like an email mini course, and it's just to help you, it's like a guide to help you find your word for the year. It's like the thing that you would do before you take Ali Edwards' One Little Word. So it's like the Find Your Word will help you to hone in on what you really need for the new year and what word can encompass that. And then Ali Edwards' this whole One Little Word thing is to use that word to guide your year. And so I would definitely leave links to all of that, everything that I mentioned, but I wanted to talk about the Unravel Your Year workbook. And so I've been keeping this workbook since 2014, and I usually print it out and I put it in a planner. My current workbooks are housed in this Kiki K planner here, and so I've been keeping it since 2014. And my other workbooks, the other filled up workbooks, and all the other extra journaling bits, they're housed in a Carpe Diem. And if you want a flip through of that binder with all the filled up Unraveling Your Year workbooks, let me know. I will go through how I kind of work through the workbooks, and then I have a lot of extra kind of scrappy journaling stuff in those things too. But that one, the one that I have stored away, filled up like to the brim, is really big. It's really chunky, and it's from 2014 to 2018, I believe. It's all those. And so this one I started this year in 2019, and so usually I just start by creating dividers. I always like to create dividers, so this one can hold, I think, another 4 years. The beginning here is just a page, and it has my one little words for the year, and so I have all of them listed out here. In 2014, it was brave, and that was the first time that I tried to attempt the whole Ali Edwards thing, and I didn't feel like the word was the best word. And the following year was 2015, and that one was Unravel. I think it was a better word for me. That year I took Susanna Conway's Unravel Yourself e-course. She no longer gives that e-course. It was like the first e-course that she ever gave, and I took the last iteration of it. But the word unravel resonated so well with me that year that was the word that I used for the year, and so that was a good one. It was kind of like a better attempt at doing the whole one little word thing. In 2016, my word was create, which was a fantastic word for me. It changed, that year kind of changed the way that I made stuff. I kind of created a habit, well, I did create a habit of creating every day, and it was wonderful. And then in 2017, I decided to revisit the word brave, because I don't know what it is about that word, but it always speaks to me. Every year it speaks to me, but every year that I try to do it, it doesn't click. It ends up not working out. And so that was that. 2018 was open, which I think was a good word for me. I struggle opening up to people a lot of the times, and so that was that was an interesting year. I don't think I fully opened up, but it was a start. And so for this year, I decided to go with the word bloom because can also bloom can mean growing, it can mean coming open, it can mean unraveling. It was kind of like all of these words that still really speak to me because I don't think at the end of the year I've fully kind of manifested that word in my life. You know, I don't think I fully manifested unravel or brave or open or create. Like I'm still working at those words. And I felt like bloom kind of encompassed all of that, you know? It just brought all of those different words together. And so far, so good. It's been a good word for my year. I don't have a word for 2020, and I'm thinking about keeping bloom and just continuing on with that, but I have not decided yet. But that is what I have here in the front, is just my list of words. And then my first divider, of course, goes into the workbook, and this one was for this year. And I just kind of, fill it out. I also include her find your word because I like the way that this workbook is set up. I'll actually show you the two 2020s. Is that when you first get it, the first part of the workbook is sort of what she calls unraveling your year. So she wants you to look back on 2019 and answer the questions based on 2019, like what did you let go of in 2019, what changed for you. So sort of just kind of reflecting back on your year, and that's how the whole first section is. It's just a reflection of that, and then she tells you to say goodbye to the year, and it goes right into kind of thinking about your new year, the new year. In the very, very beginning, she tells you to put down what your word is. I don't know if you can see it there, what your word is. And so it's in this section of the workbook where I like to print out the find your word workbook pieces and put it in here and work on that first. Because chances are, by the time I start and sit down to work in this workbook, I have no idea what my word is. I might have an inkling of what it is, but generally I don't have like, oh my god, this is going to be my word for the year. Like this year, I have no inkling whatsoever. Usually I do, but I don't have any clue of what I want my word to be for 2020. And so I will be sure to do the whole first part of the workbook, which is sort of thinking back and reflecting on my year. And then I'll go to the Find Your Word, a little mini email course, and do all of those prompts. There's like 5 days, I think, that she gives you, and kind of hone in on what my word should be. And then hopefully, after I've done that, I have a word in which I can then proceed to fill out the rest of this workbook. And so that is how I work through this workbook. And generally, I like to get it filled out before the new year starts. And I just keep it in here. And I just keep it in here for the entire year. And the only time I look back at the stuff that I write in here is when I'm filling out the new workbook. So that's why I have the 2020 in here, but I also have 2019 so I can look back at 2019 when I'm filling out the 2020 and just to see where I was then and where I want to go for the future. And so that is the Unravel Your Year workbook, and that is how I begin my, I guess, my New Year's resolutions. I don't do goal setting. I tried. I used to do goal setting. It doesn't work. The problem with me about goal setting is that you're working towards a definitive end. I'll give you an example. I always set a goal of reading. Like, I want to read more every year, and so I'm just like, I'm going to read 10 books in 2019. Usually I never read 10 books in 2019. I didn't read 10 books in 2019. I read 3 books in 2019. And so, like, when I get to that end and I realize I didn't hit that goal of 10, it's like, wow, I failed. Like I failed. I only read 3 books. So what I like to do is set intentions. So if I want to read more, I'm going to set the intention of reading more, whatever that means. Whatever that means, to me, I guess, to read more. And so, yeah, I read 3 books this year, which is not the 10 that I set, but at least I read more than I did last year. Do you see? So I now set intentions instead of setting goals. It's just a different way to look at things that you want to get done in your life. If you want to write more, don't set a goal for like 50,000 words like NaNoWriMo. Just, take a little time each day to write something. And doesn't matter how many words you've written, at least you wrote. You wrote more than you did the other day. Or like you wrote, at the end of the year, you'll realize, wow, I wrote a lot this year compared to last year. And you'll feel better about yourself because you're not stuck. You're not hung up on the number, or you're not hung up on how it's usually a number. A number is definitive. It's like this is it. This is the number I have to hit. So I say get rid of the numbers, set intentions and not goals. And so that's what I usually do after I fill out the workbook. I have a better idea of what I want to accomplish in a year, what I want to manifest, and then I go ahead and write down my intentions. And I usually just do a blog post about all of the intentions that I want to keep. And yeah, and I just kind of reflect back at those intentions. And so this year, 2019, what I ended up doing was I created a separate journal for myself, I guess you can say. Well, it is, yeah, myself. I mean, all my journals are for myself, but this one is really for myself. It was really to explore my kind of inner workings and stuff like that. I combined Susanna Conway's idea of unraveling with Ali Edwards' one little word. I mean, they kind of go in tandem because Susanna always uses a word. She always has a word for her year that she uses to unravel herself. And so it's sort of the same concept. And so what I decided to do was combine the two, have my guiding word, and then have this journal that acted as a reflection of me. And so every time I would write in it, I would be because I was going through something and I couldn't work things out in my head, and so I would try to work it out on paper. Or if I had one of those, when you have one of those self-aware epiphanies, like, oh my God, I do, like you realize why you do a certain thing or why you say a certain thing or why you act a certain way, and it just kind of all clicks, and it's like, it'll be something from your past, and you're just like, oh my God, this is why I do this, or stuff like that. Those little things, kind of like therapy, like when you kind of have one of those moments, like, oh my God, moments, that's when I go to this journal and I write it down, because that's me unraveling another layer of myself, of me getting to know who I am, and like working through like things that are bothering me, that are make me anxious or upset or whatever. And so that goes into this journal, which is my Unraveling Journal. And so I created this in the ending of 2018 for 2019, and I have written in it throughout the year. I don't write in it every day. I only write in it when I need to write in it, or when I feel like I need to get something off my chest, or if something's bothering me, or if I have a moment, it all goes in here. And so you've probably seen this notebook. I tend to do all of my journal with me's when I have a new printable. I tend to do all the journal with me's in here. And so if the whole Unraveling Journal sounds familiar, that is what this is. But I've had a lot of people ask if they can see a flip through of this journal, and I am going to give you a little flip through, a little sneak peeky at it. But a lot of the journaling in here is very personal, and usually when I share photos of it, it's usually before the pen, before I actually sit down to do the journaling. But I kind of wanted to come on and just kind of tell you, I guess, a bit more about this, because everyone seems so intrigued by it. But it's basically like a whole combination of the Unraveling course by Susanna Conway and Ali Edwards' one little word. I tried to work through Susanna course again in here, but I always kind of fall off the bandwagon, so it's sort of inspired by that. She actually doesn't give this course anymore. I took the last iteration of it back in 2015, and so I have it to look back on. But she actually opened up a new kind of like membership thing called the Unraveled Heart, which I haven't joined yet, but it seems like it's a stem from her Unraveling course, but it's throughout the years. So that's actually kind of fitting if you want to start your own Unraveling journal and sort of like document yourself throughout the year in that way, because she'll give you the whole community is like she gives you videos and photo prompts and journaling prompts all about the process of unraveling. And so I just kind of took it upon myself this year to do this, but she actually created a community now for it for next year, so that's cool. I'll leave a link to it in the description box down below. But yeah, so how I started mine, I created mine I've made a fabric junk journal style type journal, And in the front, I put my one little word. So my one little word from 2019 is bloom. And then I put a little quote here. It says, "Bloom like a flower, unravel your own beauty." And I don't know where I found it. I probably found it online. It was probably like an anonymous person who said it. I have no idea. But I resonated with it because not only did it have my one little word for the year, but it also had unravel. And like I said, my word bloom sort of kind of encompassed all of those other words. You know, it means to grow, it means to open up, it means to unravel, or how Seuss said it in a comment, it's a gentle unfurling, which is another unraveling process. And so I thought it was very fitting to start this journal off with that sentiment on the front. And so the first page I have a marker here. So I started it January 2nd, 2019, and I'll probably keep this because I haven't even filled up the first insert. So I'll probably keep this for 2020, and then once it's filled up, I'll put the date of when it was finished. But I have, again, my one little word page here. And I put all the supporting words that I wanted for my word and did some journaling about what all that stuff means. And so I started it off with my word. I wanted to start it off with my word because this is my guiding word. This is the word that's guiding me throughout the year, and I just kind of wanted to be front and center so that whenever I open it up, I see it. I see the word. And then I kind of go off. I started answering prompts from Susanna Conway's class. Here I actually put my intentions, which was take action, grow my garden, create amazing things, engage, make friends, live healthy, and travel more. Grow my garden was sort of like growing my community. Take action, I wanted to do more things. Create amazing things, obviously I wanted to create more. Engage, I wanted to engage with those people in my community. Live healthy, that was sort of me trying to exercise and eat well and stuff like that. And then travel more, which I didn't actually get to do this year, which is fine. So I think that's going to be kind of top priority intention for next year, is to travel more. And even for the traveling, I actually created a bucket list here of all the places that I still want to go to. If I can see it. All the places that I still wanted to go to, and I put that there too. And so this is a place to kind of, in the beginning, to reflect on my intentions, to kind of set those intentions, and kind of explain what do I want out of them. That's was the beginning, the one little word part. And then throughout the year, I would add quotes that resonated with my word. I will add journaling and prompts and stuff, and then I kept it very junk journally. So I'm actually going to flip the camera over right now and give you a little look at my unraveling journal. And yeah, I really hope that this gives you some sort of idea, if this is like something that interests you, on how to keep this. Like I said, I don't journal in it every day. A lot of the times I make the spreads first, and then I'll journal in it. I'll journal on that spread like weeks later. So the pages are all prepped for me to work on. It's that moment when I need it the most to journal in here. That's when I pick it up. So I don't journal it in every day. But yeah, I'm gonna flip the camera around so that I can give you a better peek at my unraveling journal. So this is my unraveling journal. It is a fabric covered journal that I made myself in sort of a junk journal style. In the front here, you can see my one little word again with that quote. And on the inside pocket, I have this library card that you can find the printable in my shop, and I just have it there to document the date when I started the book. So these are the pages that I kind of went over before. I have my intentions, bucket lists, some answerings to a prompt, and then these are my other pages. Now I only journal in here when I need to journal in here, so I don't really date anything or anything like that. I mean, some pages will have like the month so that I know when in the year I wrote this down, but I don't have like a specific date. It's just literally whenever I have something that I either need to get off my chest or something that I've been thinking about and really don't know how to process it very well, I'll just write it down, and it kind of helps me process it. And everything that I write in here is all about me. It's all about things that I've discovered about myself, things that I needed to work through for myself. Anytime I feel compelled to write in here or to express something that I found out about myself, I pull this journal out and I write in it. So a lot of the process videos that you see of me creating a page in this journal, a lot of those pages don't get written in until I feel like I need to write something down. For example, some of my pages are about me discovering my personality trait, my birth chart, and how those things affect my personality. Other entries would be about just things that I go through in life. Like I recently wrote an entry about death and how many deaths that I've gone through in my very short life here on earth, and just how that affected me and how that sort of shaped how I think about life and how I think about myself in this life. And so it's things like that. It's very introspective journaling that I do in here, and a lot of the times I'm trying to figure out why it is I think a certain way, or why it is I do certain things a certain way. And if I don't have that aha epiphany moment of, oh my god, this is why I do this, I usually am journaling just to try to figure out what it is or why it is that I do certain things. And so that is how I've been keeping this journal. I don't journal in it every day. I know I keep repeating that, but it's true. I don't journal in this every day. I journal in it when I need to journal in it. So you can see here that I never filled up the first signature all the way, and so I'll probably pick up 2020 in that same first signature and see how much I can fill this journal up next year. Hopefully I can fill it up more than I filled it up this year, but yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this peek into my unraveling journal. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!